What's up, guys? We're out here on another mobile call checking out a 04 Ford Explorer 4.0 liter V6 that has had a couple battery issues, but now that the battery's charged or been changed out, I got to check. The vehicle is actually not cranking, so I went over there, I checked it out real quick, and the theft light is actually flashing. So what we have to do is we have to diagnose that first before we ever look at anything else like starters, fuel, ignition, or even the battery. We're going to do a basic battery voltage check to make sure everything can power up properly. But besides that, we need to go after the theft light and find out why the keys are not proving out. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do is check battery voltage to make sure that the modules have proper battery voltage to even power up. 9 volts, 9.5 volts is really cutting it close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a jump pack on here. We're going to turn the key off and we're going to cycle it again to see if the theft light goes out. And then of course we're going to try to communicate with the PCM and the scan tool. So we're going to put the jump pack on here and we'll just go from there. Battery voltage is very, very important for any kind of the vehicle's modules to actually operate properly and talk to each other. Messages can get corrupted, and of course they cannot just power up properly. So proper battery voltage is very important. Okay, so let's get the jump pack on here. And this thing has like 1300 cold cranking amps of power. What I noticed is that when I turned the key for the second time in there, the cluster came alive, but the rest of it just blanked out on there. And that's one of the telltale signs that battery voltage is too low to actually operate properly. And when it happened is when the PCM started powering up, it went over here to the throttle body and turned it on, and it clicked over, does this little sweep. Well, that electronic throttle body takes a lot of amperage, so therefore the cluster started powering up, battery voltage is low, okay? And the PCM powered up, pulling more amperage, and then the TAC motor came on and just cut everything else out. At that point, the PCM and cluster are not talking to each other, won't authenticate, and won't even try to crank or apply fuel pressure. So with this on here, we should be able to turn the key off, turn it back on, and we'll see it authenticate. And I'll be able to check a few things with the scan tool also. Just give it a few seconds to get it going. What I noticed is this has a Walmart battery, the Everlast, Max, whatever the heck they are. Those are the absolute worst batteries you could ever buy, ever. If you've got a battery issue, a theft issue, any kind of issue, you want to change the battery out just because of age, do not get the Walmart batteries. I've changed them out, pretty new ones to middle-aged ones more often than any other battery brand out there. If you want to get a good basic battery without going with Motorcraft, get the Duralast Gold batteries. Those ones are actually made by Diehard, which is a really good brand, but Diehards are very expensive. So we'll let this charge for a little bit, and then we'll check it out. I don't even need this on anymore. Alright, so come on over here and we'll check it out. We'll see how the cluster reacts now that there is a jumper pack on here. Alright, so I'll bring you in here. The key out, it's annoying. Again, the theft light is on while the key is out, indicating the system's operational, and it's just a theft deterrent. At this point, we'll put the key in, and we'll monitor the cluster, see how it looks. Okay, at this point, the cluster is fully lit up, okay, but we're still getting a theft light over here. So we definitely have more diagnosis to go, but you want to start off with properly functioning battery for sure. At this point, we're going to plug the scan tool in, and we're going to attempt to communicate with the PCM so we know that it's powering up. Also, if you didn't have a scan tool, what you can do is turn the key off, okay, and then go over and listen for that TAC motor to come on. You hear it come on right there? That means the PCM's powering up. So at this point, the key might not be programmed, might have lost its programming somehow. I think it's a pretty simple issue because the cluster's powering up now and the PCM's powering up. I guess we're going to find out once the scan tool's connected. We'll see if it has a B1601, I think it is, for a key not programmed. IDS found the VCM. Now we're trying to talk to the vehicle and see what's going on here. Okay, so we can talk to the vehicle. That's the proper amount of time for an older vehicle. It tries the new protocols first. This question does not matter. It's for the ABS system. So we ID'd the vehicle just fine. V6, 4.0, automatic, all that good stuff. And it looks like it's talking to the rest of the vehicle just fine. So at this point, we're going to go in, we're going to pull codes on every module within this vehicle and see what's going on, what's the fault, why is it not allowing, why is it throwing a theft issue code, basically. Why is it not authenticating? Check it out. Now this the reason I queue every freaking module on here is because of the control module for the PATS, and of course the PCM will also set codes for any kind of key related issues on here. So let's go through here. That's from charging the battery the other day. The guy was charging it too low from being too low, like I said. This don't worry about. Of course, cluster. Key and circuit fault is a very common code. Don't worry about those. Courtesy switch, again, don't worry about it. U1900, that can be of issue if it's not talking to other modules. Compass module, don't worry about that. P1000, that's fine. We got a TAC forced idle, that's fine. TAC closed, that's fine also. And then we have a PATS ignition key transponder signal not received. And 1601. So basically, like I said, B1601 is gonna get, it's probably gonna come up on here. These 1342 codes and these other modules and stuff like that, that's because of the low battery voltage. Now this may have a TAC issue, but that will not stop it from starting, and cranking on there. We do have a theft issue, which we're going to verify by clearing codes, cycling the key, and repeating these two codes right here. Basically, this can be a PATS issue, okay, or the key issue from using the wrong key. But this one right here tells me it read the key, okay, but it was a non-programmed key being used. So that may be the whole issue here. I don't have the other set of keys right now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to clear codes on all these modules. We're going to cycle the key, and we're going to see if those two codes repeat. And that's what I was kind of thinking when I first got here, besides the battery. We need to get the other set of keys, though, and verify that. Either way, the battery, it's gotta be charged or replaced. So let it go through. Everything in the vehicle seems to be powering up. Of course, we're on a jump pack right now. So of course 1601 is still there. So we're gonna go ahead and cycle the key. Okay. Put it back on. Everything seems to power up just fine. So what we're actually going to do is an on-demand test for the PCM. See what's going on right now. What faults it's seeing. I really think we have a faulty key, or a key that just got inadvertently unprogrammed. I've heard of that with keys that have been sitting over a year and not used on the vehicle. Okay, so what we have currently, the coolant temp's out of range because they're not heated up, and the 1601. So this key is definitely not programmed. There's no reason to go any further until you program the key, or you actually have a key that's programmed already. So because I had the Ford scan tool, I can go into here and we're going to program this key. Okay, no sweat, we're going to go ahead and program it. And after that, if my diagnosis is correct with the rest of the system, which I didn't even really look at yet, this should start right up. It'll prove out and start right up, no problem at all. So we'll go through the security, gaining security access on here, and then we'll just we'll see what happens from there basically. Okay, we gained security access. At this point, we're going to program the key. Unprogrammed key is in there. And this right here also tells you that key was never programmed. This operation has been successful, which means it successfully added the transponder's unique ID to the vehicle. If it was already programmed, it would say this operation has been unsuccessful. So at this point, we should be able to turn, well, finish this. No more keys. No PATS menu. Turn the key off. And then we're going to go ahead and try it on here. What we're going to do first is we're going to turn the key, watch the cluster, and we're going to watch the theft light over there. Cluster looks good, and our theft light has gone out. So let's do it again. We can see our theft light is in security standby mode. Key in, solid, and then it's kicking it out once again. You see how the lights are going nuts? That's going nuts, and this is going nuts. Theft light, okay.
Yeah.
Our wrench light. Let's do it again. Same thing, it's flipping out. Everything going nuts. That's simply because of a battery voltage being too low. I got the charger on it, but those EverStart batteries from Walmart are bad. So there's still a battery power issue causing it to do this. Alright, so check it out. We had the charger here connected to the battery, and we were charging, and as you saw, it was just flipping out. Everything was flipping out in here, and of course, inside the vehicle in the cluster. You take the battery out of the equation, and we use a junk pack as our battery, which is like 1300 cranking amps, whatever. Isolate it, as you can see, okay? So we're taking the Walmart battery out of the equation, 12 or so volts. At this point, watch this. We go over to here, having some IDS issues. You turn the key, and everything powers up just fine, okay? There's no flickering and flipping out from the PCM, okay? And we still have a theft issue, but what I think is happening is because it went to such low voltage like that, and the battery's actually shorting internally, that it actually is erasing the keys each time. So this time, we're gonna program a key, and then we're gonna keep it on a jump pack, and then we're going to attempt to authenticate a key, and of course start it after that, all on the jump pack, and see the batteries actually causing all these weird issues. I'm thinking that's the issue. So we need to get the IDS back up and running, and we're going to program a key, and then we're going to authenticate it and see what happens. Okay, so we gained security access. We're going to program this key. Program additional ignition key, unprogram key in the ignition. Successful. No more keys. No PATS menu. Turn the key off. Okay, we're going to pull that out. Now we're simply going to turn the key on, make sure it authenticates over there, and we're going to attempt to crank it. See it authenticated over there? Holy cow, Alex. Why does it keep losing the freaking keys? Okay, so we have a good battery in here now. What we're going to do is we're going to erase all known keys and force us to program 2 new keys, which I have both of them already. So we cleared the old ones. We could talk to the PCM just fine. especially now that the battery voltage is proper. So at this point, we might be looking at a PATS transceiver issue. All known keys are erased. So we're basically going to have to follow this method right here, and we'll see if each one of them proves out on here. Okay, so we just programmed 2 keys after we erased all known keys, and then we got it to the lock cycled each time I put a key in, which means it recognized it, it was able to read it, and then I did the 2 keys that we were required to do, and now it just started, so we'll see if it does it again. That's a throttle body issue, don't worry about that. Let's make sure the other key can be read also. Let's go ahead and see. I gotta find the keyhole here. Okay. So it authenticates each time now, watch. Put any key in here. You see it flashing over there. Okay. On, solid, authenticates. Takes a little while to go out, like so, but it does go out. That's exactly how long it should take for it to prove it out. It shouldn't just go on, solid, and go out instantly. It should take, a second or two, a good second or two. And then you'll be able to crank it, authenticate. Perfect. Okay, so now that it starts, since I cleared the old corrupt keys out of the memory from all those battery issues, what I'm going to do is reflash the PCM so that there's any corrupted data inside the PCM software, we can get that corrected also. We'll do that TSB, not that TSB. Yes, please reflash it. It gets the file from the server. From the Ford server, the latest calibration. So I get it down there. And we can make sure that all the software, the calibration, everything inside the PCM is up to date and of course not corrupted. Battery's charging currently, no self-test. And we'll just turn the key back on. And we'll let it go through its process on here. There we go. So we'll erase all the old software off the PCM and flash it with the latest software. So nothing's corrupted and everything should work properly then. Alright, so the PCM is programming right now. We have a good new Duralast battery in here. We have it charging because it is, programming the PCM in there. You don't want no corrupted data. Everything's back together. Our connection, the tach motor is back together, but this tach motor is getting stuck inside the board. It's a very common issue, especially on the Explorers, where it'll set codes to be stuck open or stuck closed in the board. So this motor still needs to be changed out. Our theft issue, okay, and our cranking and starting issue is definitely taken care of. That's great, but unfortunately this issue that is so common on these has crept up on him, and this needs to be changed out. He said this was happening shortly after he bought it a few months ago, where this thing would not, open on there, get stuck, and stuff like that, setting codes. So it's been a long time coming for this thing to die out on here. What I'm going to try to do is clean the throttle body on here from the carbon, and we'll relearn it and see if we can get by for now, because this sucker is freaking expensive. And we'll just go from there, but that is going to be an issue. The theft issue's fixed, and we can move forward. Okay, so just got done reflashing the PCM. Now in most of these later calibrations, they found out, hey, we need to have a sludge compensation strategy, and that's why I might have programmed into this one, where it actually compensates for the acquired sludge and carbon on there. Blah, 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 go through it, and now you can attempt to start it once again. You see it barely starts. That's because it's stuck in there. And the last coat I had for this, it was stuck closed, it said, so it's time to pull the intake snorkel off and take a look at it and clean it and relearn it at this point. I'm going to try to get you in here. You can see this one's pretty carboned up just from the outside here, so it's gonna definitely need a cleaning and a relearning to start off with. Okay, I just cleaned the throttle body and did a cam reset. We're gonna see if the thing actually starts now. There's part of the intake still apart over there. Make sure it starts first. Okay, at this point, we'll go ahead and put the rest of the intake back on. It wasn't that bad, but like I said, these early models don't have that sludge compensation strategy. So now it's nice and clean. Everything's back together. We'll get the intake snorkel back on here, clear codes, and let it run and learn the throttle body. Let's do it. Running really good, so we'll let it run, learn the throttle body, and test from there pretty much. Okay, so that was definitely an interesting mobile call for sure. That's one for the books. I've never seen that before, where the PCM learns the key. I mean, it says the key is not programmed, so that means it can read it, okay? And then you go in to program it. It programs just fine, which means it read it again and stored it. You turn the key off, and then you turn it back on, and it forgot the whole thing the whole thing ever freaking happened. So that's definitely new by me. I'm glad I was able to have access to key programming and the forward scan tool, because I was then able to go in and try that last resort of erasing all known keys. What must have happened is with all the battery voltage going so low and the shorting of the battery, like I said, those Walmart EverStart batteries, they're absolute garbage. Don't ever freaking buy them. Every battery, I would say 90% of the batteries I ever changed at the dealership in all my years there were EverStart batteries, from newer batteries to a couple of years old. They fail horribly all the frickin' time. If you want a good battery, get a Duralast. They're made by DieHard actually, or Motorcraft. You can get that one also, and that's a good battery. But anyways, back to the issue. It must have corrupted, that battery voltage being so low and then shorting internally, must have corrupted the non-volatile RAM, the PCM. And when I programmed the same key into it again, it said, oh, that information's already in here, and it basically never wrote it to that part of the memory. That's what I'm thinking. And then once I went in and I totally cleared it, cleared the area of the memory and started fresh and had to write the key code to the memory, then it stuck. So that was definitely a weird freaking issue. This vehicle has a couple other weird issues going on with the fuel pump and the throttle body and a couple other issues like that. You saw the coolant leak in the other video. So there may be future videos on this particular model, and we're fixing all those common issues also. I think he has an EGR code too. He's got a lot of issues in this truck, but as money allows, we'll start fixing stuff on here. So hopefully this is interesting enough for you guys. I know it's a bunch of diagnostic stuff, but it's pretty cool. We're out on a mobile call, and we're like solving a murder mystery is what it is. So that's why it's so interesting to do this kind of work every day at my job over like beating on suspension components, stuff like that. That's just boring and monotonous is what it is, whereas this is stuff that is very interesting. So hopefully you got something out of it.